A late-term abortion is a several-day procedure, fetal organ harvesting practice, somewhere where baby killing was still very much the law of the land.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ever Living Podcast. We are your life-loving hosts, Cindy,
And Jessica.
and we are part of New Hampshire Right to Life. And there's some exciting news in New Hampshire today that the House just passed HB 1416, which protects life-saving work done by New Hampshire's 19 pregnancy centers. The bill will now move to the
Yay!
Senate. So, thankful for all
That's awesome.
the legislators and protecting the good work of pregnancy centers in New Hampshire, and thankful to the Lord for allowing this to move forward. So we have a very special guest from the other coast of America. Let's welcome Melanie Salazar, Executive Director of Pro-Life San Francisco. Welcome, Melanie.
Yay! Welcome, Melanie.
Yay! Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Jessica. Happy to be here today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. How's the weather out in San Francisco right now?
It's actually a very sunny day today. Praise the Lord. San Francisco is actually a pretty foggy,
Okay.
sweater weather city all year round. So this is a nice day today.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it was pretty
Okay. I
warm.
didn't know that. I'm not super familiar with California, but I am going to California on my honeymoon in September. So maybe I'll have more of an idea of the weather after I experience it. So
Yeah, I was actually pretty shocked when I first moved here. I was under the impression, based off of Katy Perry, that in California you get to wear Daisy Dukes with bikinis on top, but that is not the case in San Francisco. It's sweater weather pretty much all year round.
Yeah. So, Melanie, what do you do with Pro-Life San Francisco? And what does Pro-Life San Francisco do? Tell us more.
Yeah, so Pro-Life San Francisco, we are operating in our nation's abortion training capital. In San Francisco, at the University California, San Francisco, they house what's called the Residency, where they teach future abortionists to then go out into the rest of the nation and perform late-term abortions. So we exist to counter the abortion movement. We want to educate our community, connect pregnant women and families to life affirming resources, and to be a source of community for fellow pro lifers to know that, yes, you can be pro life in San Francisco. You are not alone. You have a family here.
Wow, that's important. So, what is it like, working with the people of San Francisco? What is the community like? What has the response been there?
Yeah, well, it was really hard first moving here. Originally, I'm from the great state of Texas, so yeehaw, remember the Alamo. But after Roe v. Wade was reversed, Texas had a trigger law, so 30 days later, abortion became illegal in my home state of Texas. Not to say that there's not still work to be done in Texas and places like it, because there's problems of abortion pills being trafficked in, people that cross state lines, and we still need social safety nets and community resources in Texas and places like it. So, not saying the work is done there, but I began feeling convicted that I was needed somewhere where baby killing was still very much the law of the land. So, I began praying, God, where do you want me to go? Do I go to New Mexico, my neighboring state? Do I go to New York? Do I go to Washington, D.C., the activist hub of the U.S.? And it was around this time that I got a phone call that Pro-Life San Francisco needed a new executive director. And thankfully, my husband was supportive, and God made a way for our family to pack up our lives in an SUV rental and head out west for the California dream with our stowaway baby in the womb, because we had just found out we were pregnant and embarking on this
Wow.
new adventure to the West Coast. So it was really hard starting over in a completely new place, navigating my own pregnancy,
Hmm.
and trying to revive Pro Life San Francisco and trying to harness a pro life community here. And over time, God has, I believe, continued to bless our efforts, slowly but surely. And now, fun fact, this upcoming Monday, March 16th, is the California March for Life. And
Ooh.
Pro-Life San Francisco actually filled a 15-passenger van to take up to Sacramento, the state capital, for the California March for Life. And this is just something that wouldn't have happened 1 year or 2 years ago. I couldn't have even imagined I'd get to fill a van of 15 San Franciscans, San Francisco Bay Area residents, to come up to Sacramento for the State March for Life. So it's been a trial. There's been plenty of tribulations, and we're still going through it. But that's how it's been in recent times, that people are kind of coming out of the woodworks. Maybe people are starting to see, like, okay, I can maybe be pro-life here and I'm not alone. So it's finally starting to set a fire ablaze, I think, in the San Francisco Bay Area for the pro-life community.
Oh, wow.
Praise God. That's great. Well, and praise God that you listened to God's call and picked up your life and moved to a very different state than you're from. That's amazing. So, yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about, so obviously that's amazing. You guys have a group going to the California March for Life. What are some of the things other than the March for Life that Pro-Life San Francisco does? What do you guys do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, a little history, some lore on Pro-Life San Francisco. Pro-Life SF started as a young adult group, a young adult chapter, and has evolved now into a pro-life nonprofit. And I really hope one day it can evolve even more so to a Bay Area coalition for life. And coming into my role at Pro-Life San Francisco, I was bringing a lot of ideas with me of what I had learned during my time in Texas. So when I was in Texas, one of the biggest parts of my pro-life advocacy was doing sidewalk outreach. And I did that through the San Antonio Coalition for Life, about 3 days a week, about 3 hours a time, outside of the headquarters for Planned Parenthood South Texas. And I have a dream that in San Francisco, we too can have a sustainable pro-life presence outside of our local Planned Parenthood every hour that they are open. That's how I saw it back in San Antonio, Texas, and I know we can replicate that here. So one of our projects through Pro-Life San Francisco is trying to train people and encourage people to go out to the sidewalk. And also, from what I had learned during my time in Texas, was creating a life affirming directory website that did not exist before I came into my role here in San Francisco. Back in San Antonio, they have the carereferral.info website. And I thought, again, copy paste. We need that here, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area. So one of our projects is bayareareprocare.com, that points people to all of the life-affirming, nonviolent resources that I have discovered to help women and families throughout pregnancy and beyond. And these were some resources that I myself benefited from, as I said, that I was navigating my own pregnancy when I first moved here to San Francisco. So bayareareprocare.com also has its own matching branded literature that we hand out on the sidewalk, that has a QR code to take people to this website, which is also, I'm proud to say, bilingual, so English and Spanish. So this is one of our big projects through Pro-Life San Francisco, our bayareareprocare.com website with the matching branded literature that we give out on the sidewalk of our local abortion business to connect pregnant women and families to life-affirming resources. And also through Pro-Life San Francisco, we have been the leading voice exposing the egregious fetal organ harvesting practice happening in our backyard at the University of California, San Francisco. Since I think about 2019, we have been exposing the horrible practice through our public records requests.
Hmm.
So, and it's all on our website. If someone wants to take a deep dive into what is fetal organ harvesting and specifically how is this practice happening at UCSF. And we have reason to believe that in order to harvest a preborn baby's organs, that babies are being born alive and left to die for their organs to be harvested. So where there's smoke, there's fire, and I don't believe there's a way to practice vice with virtue. So this is truly an American horror story. And through this campaign of fighting against the fetal organ harvesting, exposing what is happening there through our public records request, trying to bring awareness to this online, we started our action page called ethicalresearchnow.org. So now people can take an action step to contact the leaders of the University California system and demand for ethical research now for an end to fetal organ harvesting. And it's a pretty gruesome topic. It's not so pretty to talk about. It's much easier to talk about um, sidewalk outreach and passing out brochures, but it's really hard to talk about the gruesome practice of fetal organ harvesting. But we must shine a light in the darkness. And actually, when I first moved to San Francisco, someone said to me the verse of where sin abounds, grace abounds more. You just would never think in a place like San Francisco that there would be an ongoing pro-life presence. I mean, maybe I'm sure people feel that same way in New Hampshire. I'm sure you can relate. But hey, where sin abounds, grace abounds more. So that's another big project through Pro-Life San Francisco is our ethicalresearchnow.org website. And then one of the other big things we do is to try to be a source of community for people to know that you are not alone. Yes, you can be who you are. You can exist in San Francisco and you can have a community here. And I really hope to build up pro-life leaders too one day. As I mentioned earlier, this is the abortion training capital of our nation. And who's to say that why not that one day this can be the pro-life training capital of our nation? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. Why not? Why not? You know, our God does big things. So those are some of the big campaigns that we do. Last campaign I'll share about is our court support. The San Francisco justice system is known for persecuting pro-life advocates, and we've been going to our local courthouse pretty often in recent times in support of local pro-life advocates that are being persecuted by the systems, the powers that be. So we as Pro-Life San Francisco try to rally the troops and to show court support, to show solidarity for fellow pro-lifers who are facing persecution.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You
guys are busy. You're doing a lot.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I know. And I'm a mom. And someone asked me the other day, like, Melanie, how do you do it all? And I'm like, the grace of God, girlfriend, the grace of God.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It seems like you have so much hope for God's light and his love to shine in San Francisco to help the families of San Francisco and to show people they're not alone in wanting to protect life. And so that's beautiful.
Yeah, you know, I like to think I have a radical hope. Some people have told me it's not so radical, but I have a hope that just as in our past, slavery was the norm, and now we're past that, and we look back, and we are so appalled that slavery was ever allowed, and we are so thankful for those people who stood up and fought for what was right and said something, and we can change slavery to another cause of women's voting rights or child labor laws or segregation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we look back and we cannot believe that those injustices, those inequalities ever existed. And I'm sure the people who were on the side of truth faced a lot of persecution like us pro-lifers today. So I have a radical hope, but again, some say it's not so radical, that yeah, same too, that one day in our nation, we will look back and we will have a legal abortion-free country and a pro-life country, and that we will be so thankful for those people who stood up, who did what was right, even if they stood up alone, even if their voice was shaking while saying the truth. We will be so thankful for the people who fought in this side of history. We are making history right now, and who knows, maybe one day we will end up in history books. And I like to think, I keep saying that one day we are going to have our National Museum of Pro-Life History. It's going to happen. Maybe it'll be headquartered in DC. Maybe the National Museum of Pro-Life History will be in San Francisco, or at least we'll get a satellite museum here in SF.
Yeah.
I love it. That's
It'll
great.
be like
No, I love your energy.
like your house was turned into a museum or something.
Yes, girl. Yeah, for almost 10 years, the Pro-Life SF headquarters was out of our executive director studio in the most notoriously difficult neighborhood in San Francisco called the Tenderloin neighborhood. It has a really bad rep, but it also has the highest density of families because it is the most affordable. And so I think what better start of Pro-Life San Francisco to be than to have started in the Tenderloin neighborhood. And so that was a special place that was in the Pro-Life SF family for almost 10 years, a decade. And we're in a bigger space now in a nicer neighborhood. But yeah, I'm like, maybe one day there's going to be a plaque on that building that says that was the Pro-Life SF HQ for almost a decade. Who knows?
Yeah. And to be the voice, like that means that someone is alive. Like that someone was not aborted, that someone is living. That's the lives of women, their children were not taken, like that. It actually makes a big difference. It's life or death for somebody,
Yeah. Something I like to share often about is the message of courage. Maybe we've all seen The Princess Diaries. But I really love the quote. I'm not sure if it originated from the Princess movies, which, fun fact, took place in San Francisco, is the setting of The Princess Diaries. But there's the quote of having courage, being courageous, does not mean that you are not afraid. Courage is the decision that something matters more than your fear. So I tell people, when I go to the sidewalk, when I go to an event with a bullhorn, when I'm putting up flyers in a community that maybe will rip the flyer right down when I'm not around, or et cetera, et cetera. When I'm putting on an event and not knowing if anyone will come, if I'm inviting people to join my 15-passenger van and not knowing if people will want to come in my van up to the California March for Life, I'm scared when I do these things. I'm afraid, but I do it anyways. I do it while I'm still afraid. Do it scared, because I make the decision that saving a baby, helping a mom, impacting a future pro-life leader's life, that matters more than my fear. So I want to encourage all your listeners to take courage, be courageous, to do the thing while you're still afraid. Right now, up until I think March 29th is the 40 Days for Life campaign. And I believe it's a great time to go out to the sidewalk, especially if you've never gone before. Just dip your pinky toe in. You don't even have to talk to anyone. You do not have to try to interact, but just showing up. If you just show up, congrats. You've already won half the battle because you just showed up. So choose courage. And if you show up, you've won half the battle.
I think that's great advice. Absolutely. Like, I feel like even, in my role at Students for Life, that's always been my advice to students, is like, it gets easier the more you do it. Like, yes, it's always going to be scary, but like, exactly, like the more you just show up and you have those conversations and with people, that might have an opposing view, or like you're saying, showing up to the sidewalk, and, you'll feel so much better after you're there, and whether you're there sidewalk counseling or praying for the women that, that are coming to the abortion facility, like you'll feel, I feel like it's always such a rewarding experience afterwards. So,
yeah. I think it also gives other people who are watching you some courage because they can see, oh, like we can say something against, evil things, or it's like, oh, we
Yeah.
can, like, we don't all have to be quiet and or believe that evil is good. I think that's encouraging too.
That's how I felt
Yeah.
yesterday. I was in I was at the Massachusetts State Capitol yesterday. I did a lobby day for Students for Life Action, and we're standing out in front of the Massachusetts State House with defund Planned Parenthood signs, and we're the pro-life generation. And I'm like, oh no, like I hope we're safe. It was a little scary, but they don't see that all the time there, and it was great to go there and be a voice for life in a state that is in a lot of ways very similar to California. Doesn't value life at all. So, yeah, Melanie, I wanted to ask you. You were talking a little bit about how San Francisco is like the future abortionist like training capital of the world. Could you go in a little bit more detail as to like what that means when you say that? That would be probably helpful for our listeners.
Yeah, so the University of California, San Francisco houses an abortion training program called the Ryan Residency. And through the Ryan Residency, many future OBGYNs go there to learn how to perform abortion procedures. And specifically, they're being taught how to perform late term abortion procedures. And then they go out into the nation, into their home cities, wherever they feel that is their calling to go to, and they go perform those abortion procedures. So it's a real tragedy, uh, that I even have to say that sentence, that some people view that as healthcare and justice and equality, and it's such a backwards mindset. But that is what I mean when I say that San Francisco is the nation's abortion training capital.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying on that. And just on the topic of late term abortion, I know often when I'm talking to people on campus about this issue, they say, oh, well, late term abortions don't happen. Or if they do
Mm.
happen, they only happen in situations in which the mother's life is in danger, things like that. Could you speak to that? Is that the only case in which late term abortions happen, in case, when the mother's life is in danger? Or are women getting late term abortions for other reasons as well?
Yeah, so I've been taught that more often than not, late term abortions are because around that point in pregnancy, women have gotten the genetic scan to find out if there's any fetal abnormalities, and then choose an elective abortion because of whatever differences that child may have. And I've also been told that, well, we need late term abortions because of women's health concerns. We need to save women's lives. But I'm sorry, a late term abortion is a several day procedure involving digoxin for heart attack induced abortion for the child, and laminaria inserted into the woman, and then a woman births her dead baby. If there truly is a medical emergency to save a woman's life, why would we not induce labor at a hospital in your regular birth inducing setting, and or perform an emergency C-section if there truly is an emergency to try to save a woman's life? So that's always my response. That first of all, it is discriminatory if we are to kill preborn persons because they are different than, air quotations, the norm, the average, what we expect. And or if there truly is a medical emergency, why would we not induce labor and or perform a cesarean? I had a cesarean with my son, actually, and that was really quick. So that was much quicker than a 3-day abortion procedure. So I don't understand why the emergency argument is a thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. It's like exactly like people. I think that's definitely been a scare tactic post Roe v. Wade being overturned. That people are like, okay, women are gonna die if they don't have abortion, whereas exactly like you can instead of in those late term situations instead of killing the baby and then delivering it, you could just deliver the baby alive and give the baby
Yeah.
a chance at life. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, I just wanted you to. I'm glad you were able to clarify on that because I think that's often what people say is like if you don't, you need late term abortion or women are going to die, and that's simply not
Hmm.
true. So yeah,
Well, um, Melanie, were you were at the DC National March for Life this year?
Yeah, I was. And
What was it like there this year?
yeah, so for the first time in our almost 10 years of Pro Life SF's existence, we got an invitation from the National March for Life to join as a coalition partner. So I thought that I had to accept that invitation, and it was a good time. I pictured in my mind that being a coalition partner meant that we would be in this fancy tent with flat screen TVs and couches and hot cocoa. But once I got there, I realized that was not the case. And someone said to me, like, oh no, girl, you're thinking of the VIP tent. This is the coalition partners tent. And so I got really humbled. But yeah, it was a great time. I got to be on stage with all the other coalition partners. There's a moment when they're like, and we want to thank all of our coalition partners. I actually saw your husband there, Cindy. And I just feel like that was such a full circle moment for me, thinking back to my start in the pro life movement, discovering a pro life club at my campus and restarting that pro life club. Like young 20 something year old Melanie would have never thought I'd get an opportunity to stand on stage at the National March for Life. Like, what? Little old me from the south side of San Antonio standing on the stage of the March for Life? What? But God made it happen, and it was such an honor and such this like coming home moment. I almost think of like the Russian doll analogy of like that younger Melanie, our younger selves are like always still in us, that younger little girl version. So it was really nice for like younger Melanie to have that moment.
Hmm.
that's
And
wonderful.
and now we see it's your son on the screen, by the way.
Yeah.
Aw, okay. Um, so, and you said the California March for Life, that is Monday or?
Yes, the California March for Life is happening Monday, March 16th. Why do they do it on a Monday? You may wonder. The organizers choose purposefully to do the march on a Monday because they want that the legislators are in office
Yeah.
and that there's a chance for them to see the pro life people of California.
Hmm.
So that is why it's on a Monday. I know that can be a deterrent for a lot of people with work, but pro is that our Californian lawmakers will see us and they'll hear us. So that is what's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. And have you been to previous California marches for life, or what is it like there?
Yeah, so this is the sixth annual, and this will be my third time going. The first time I was pregnant with my son. The second, he was a little baby, and now I have a toddler.
Hmm.
Taking maybe to get to walk this time.
Yeah.
The march
Yes.
itself.
Oh, that's great.
That's
That's
cute.
wonderful.
How far is a drive? I don't know.
Oh, it'll be about a 2 hour ish drive from San Francisco to Sacramento, but that's not accounting for stops along the way.
Well, get a life soundtrack going in the van.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been praying that God will give me the grace that I need to get through the day because I know it's going to be a long day.
Hmm.
I'm sure it will be, but
Well, it's been so nice to chat with you, Melanie, and get to hear about Pro Life SF. Um, we you you said you have a Bible verse to share, and we looked it up,
Nice.
and uh, You said you heard it as the Lord hears. What did you? What did
The Lord hears the cry of the poor. This was, I guess, an abridged version of the Psalm
34
34.
6?
Yes, the Lord hears the cry of the poor. This has been a special verse on my heart for several months. Last year, 2025, one of my big goals for Pro Life San Francisco was to get us in a nicer HQ. As I shared, for about 10 years, we were living in a studio apartment in one of the roughest, no, the roughest part of the city, San Francisco. And we had no washer, no dryer. The bedroom was the living room, was the office, was the dining room, as you can imagine. And so I prayed that we would get a new HQ last year in 2025. Then it was around August when I began thinking that that dream just wasn't going to happen for us that year. But then, out of the blue, I get a text asking, hey, would Pro Life San Francisco ever be interested in a new headquarters? And long story short, that person is our landlord. And we are
Wow.
now in a much nicer part of the city. We have a washer and dryer, two bedrooms, one office space, a little backyard, a garage. So it was around church, or it was around this time that I heard in church the psalm of the Lord hears the cry of the poor. So I have kept that with me. I'm like, amen. The Lord heard the cry of the poor, because the poor was me, is still me, and the Lord heard my cries and he answered my prayer and he put us in a new headquarters and a new home. So praise the Lord. It was truly a miracle. It
Yeah.
was all God.
Yeah, I just want to read a little bit more of that psalm. So, Psalm 34. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. And then verse 8. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him have no lack. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. So, you can see how God really provided for you all. Oh, I wanted to ask, um, do you see great, great need in San Francisco? Like for the mothers, is there a great need in San Francisco? And also, I imagine there's also great disparity in San Francisco. Do you have a perspective on that?
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. Maybe it's similar in New Hampshire that there's so many social services uh, meant to help women and families. And then in the same breath, there's also abortion. And so it really puzzles me how there's all these governmental support services, community based supportive services, and still in the same breath, we offer abortion. Like, I do not understand how the two need to coexist when there's all this help that is available for women and families. And my goodness, there's just so many layers of how do we make progress towards a pro-life culture in a state like California. One thing I've said previously, maybe this is going to be a hot take, but I think if we're ever going to make change, legal change on a state level for states like California, I don't think it's going to come from pro life conservatives, pro life Republicans. I think it's going to come from pro life Democrats, pro life progressives, if we're going to make substantial change on a state level. Now, I would love to see a national ban, maybe that'll happen first before we ever get substantial state advancement for life. Who knows? God knows. God knows the story, right? And we're only seeing just one sentence on one page of this large book. Um, so, gosh, it is really difficult with just the abortion normative culture that celebrates abortion. And some people ask me, like, when I first moved here, especially, like, wow, so, like, how is it since you were in Texas and now you're in California? Like, it must be so much more difficult for you here in California now. Oh my goodness. And actually, in my experience, maybe someone else will say a different story, but for me, I feel like there was more tension in Texas because I feel like the tension was more at the surface. It was more of an ongoing battle of pro-life, pro-choice. It was an ongoing discussion. Whereas here, pro-choice, pro-abortion is the default. And I feel that people are more surprised than anything to meet a pro-lifer, to see a pro-lifer on the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Whereas in Texas, it was much more common for there to be this fiery pro-life, pro-choice battle. Whereas here, again, the default is pro-choice, pro-abortion, and it's more a sense of shock
Mm.
if they meet someone who isn't
Yeah.
also pro-choice.
Yeah.
So I actually feel like I don't have it easier here, but there's an uphill battle. But people are just not expecting me. They're not expecting a pro-life movement here, is what
Yeah.
I have felt to be true.
I imagine it's like if you're an Asian country and then there's someone not Asian, you kind of notice right away,
Yes.
like, oh, somebody
Yes.
from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a good analogy of like a foreigner coming to your native land. You're like, what?
Wow, refreshing. Okay,
Didn't
well,
expect that.
to wrap up, I'd just like to circle back to the Bay Area reprocare.com. If we could show that, let's pull that up. So this is a website of resources for families in the Bay Area. And you said it's also a brochure.
Hmm.
Let's see if we can access that. www.bayareareprocare.com. Okay, here we go. So Melanie, where would people go? Like what do you recommend here?
Well, if you click the Get Help Now button, I believe that'll take you to a page that has our three prominent life affirming healthcare clinics in the Bay Area. And if someone is looking for more resources beyond a free pregnancy test, free ultrasound, free STI testing and treatment, etc., then there's resources that go beyond to provide free diapers, support on how you can utilize your Medi-Cal benefits to help you throughout pregnancy and postpartum, to help you with food and getting rides to appointments. And I even have information on what do you do if you don't like your hormonal contraception. There's information here to learn natural methods of fertility charting. And yeah, and again, the whole website is available in Spanish, which I'm really proud of because San Francisco does have a large Spanish speaking population here. I'm thinking maybe one day I'll add in a Mandarin version or a Tagalog version, but we'll see if there's really a need for that. But for
Yes.
now, English
Awesome.
and Spanish. And hopefully, this website will just continue to grow with resources. I want it to be truly a holistic Bay Area directory website. Right now, the resources are more specific to San Francisco, but I really want it to go beyond SF
Mm-hmm.
and be a resource that pro-lifers all around the SF Bay Area can refer to.
Mm. Awesome. All right. Cool. Thank you, Melanie. God bless you, and God bless Pro Life San Francisco, and
Absolutely.
just
We'll be praying for your
Yeah.
work and,
Yeah, thank
just.
you so much. I'd love to say some last parting words. I've kind of shared a little bit about my pro-life journey of discovering a pro-life group at my college, restarting that pro-life group, and I like to say I don't think I'm anyone special. I think I'm just someone who says yes. I'm just someone who has given my yes to God, and the Lord has continued to open up doors and opportunities for me to serve Him for the babies through political advocacy, even international pro life work. And my yes has led me to a new life in the state of California. Who would have thought me, a Texan, to end up here? So I just want to encourage your listeners to give God your yes. And your yes may look different than mine. Maybe you aren't called to be this pro-life missionary to travel states and uproot your life and try to lead a pro-life presence in a very difficult city. But maybe you are called to do something. And maybe it's very little, but maybe it's very big. Who knows? But give God your yes and be courageous. And if anyone is interested to keep up with Pro-Life San Francisco, I would love for you to go to prolifesf.org, join my email list. Yes, it really is me who writes the emails, and I would love for you to keep up with my pro-life work through that way. I'm also a lot on Instagram. My handle is at Melanie Salazar, MELANIE SALAZARA, where I share about my life. And fun fact about me is when I'm not a pro-life activist, pro-life nonprofit leader, I'm also a fertility awareness, natural family planning educator, and a new birth doula.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and it's all by
Very
the
cool.
grace of God. And I'm also, super mom with my son.
I was gonna say you're even busier than you originally let on. So praise God for you and giving you the grace to do all these wonderful things. So, well, thank you so much, Melanie, for coming on the podcast, and hopefully this will reach some Bay Area listeners, and they'll find out about your Bay Area website as well. So, awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Good to know we're all united in all this. Yeah.
Yes, we are
From
all in
coast to
this battle
coast.
together. Coast to
Yes.
coast. Yes, I was just going to say that. Coast to coast. We're all in this battle together. So stay strong. An abortion-free United States world is possible. Let's not give up hope. And it can happen. But we got to keep fighting. We got to do our part. We got to give our yes. We got to choose to be courageous.
Absolutely. Awesome.
All right,
well,
everyone.
thank you so much, Melanie. And yeah, thank you, everyone. We will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Jessica.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Be ever living.
Thank you for listening to the Ever Living podcast, a podcast by New Hampshire Right to Life, New Hampshire's oldest and most active pro-life organization. You can learn more about our work and learn how to get involved at www.nhrtl.org. If you would like to donate to our mission, you can make a donation at www.nhrtl.org/donate. See you next week. May God bless you and be very near to you, and may you be ever living.